Okay, let's rock and roll.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Here we go. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on another edition here of Extreme Health Radio. It's going to be a good show today. We're going to be talking with Timothy Hickey on all things water. Right, Kate?
Right.
We love water.
And we love water.
Who doesn't love water?
This is true.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking with him. And if you're interested in water filtration and some good solutions for that, you want to definitely listen to this interview with Timothy Hickey from Friends of Water. And my name is Justin, and my co-host /wife is named Kate.
That works out well. Hey, everybody.
And we are broadcasting worldwide from Southern California, and it's kind of a day in paradise here. I mean, it's always paradise in our heads, right?
Right. It's all mind over matter.
But it's socked in with clouds, but we'll press on.
We'll press on.
We'll figure a way through. And currently we're doing shows 4 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and having a good time doing it and bringing this information to you. So thank you so much for joining us. And if you'd like to follow us on Facebook, that would be excellent. We'd love to have you join our community. We post a few times a day, and it's fun to interact with all of you guys. So you can do that at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook, and then click the like button, and you'll be off and running. And I want to thank Mike Adams of naturalnewsradio.com for having us on his show. Mike Adams is a good guy. He writes a lot of great articles on natural news, so it's an honor to be on there with him. And just for reference, today is Wednesday, April 24th, right?
I believe so.
April 24th, 2013. Amazing how time flies.
Man.
And this is episode number 92 that we've done, so you could check it out at extremehealthradio.com/92. And on that show page, you'll find the show notes and the transcription and anything the guest mentions, books or reference materials, anything. And if you have any questions for us, we'd love to have you participate in our show. You can email me, Justin, at extremehealthradio.com, or you can email
Kate at extremehealthradio.com.
And we also have a nice little voicemail feature that we're testing out and want to see if you guys enjoy. If you go to extremehealthradio.com/voicemail, all one word, you can actually leave a question for us or for our guest right from your computer. So that'd be a great way to send your question in and get
Very easy to use.
Yeah, get it played on the air. So please interact with us and do that if you'd like. And this show is brought to you by Amazon.com, as are most of our shows. Reoccurring theme. No, but if you purchase on Amazon ever, it would be great if you wanted to support our work. We get a little commission for that, and you don't have to buy anything related to health. And if you do that, every time you make a purchase that would support our work, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/Amazon, and that'll just redirect you to their homepage where you can make a purchase and support us.
And buy anything.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing that these days, and it's a great way to support us. So thank you so much to those who have bought through our link.
Yes, thank you.
And we've got, some great guests coming up on Thursday, April 25th. That's tomorrow, right?
It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Daniel Vitalis will be on the show, and he's going to be talking about rewilding and all kinds of really great stuff. And he's a health motivator and health strategist, nutritionist, herbalist, all kinds of stuff. And he's a cutting-edge guy. And then we've got Dr. Stephen Hines coming up from San Angelo, Texas. And he's a cutting-edge guy. And he's really going to be fun to have on. His website's hopewellnesscenter.com. And today we have Timothy Hickey, though. It's going to be a fun show with him. And we finally hooked up with a water company that we believe in. And it's really, really great. So it's really an honor to have Timothy Hickey on. And he was in formerly the tropical fish business many years ago and figured out that when you put fish in tap water, they die. So
Oh no.
it would kill them. So his website is friendsofwater.com, and he established this in about 2006, I think. And they celebrate water in their environment, the health and recreation and in gardening. And they build awareness to the threat of our water resources, and they provide information and products to filter water and save water. And they demonstrate that a business can succeed by supporting customers and the planet. And his website's friendsofwater.com. And we were originally referred, I think, by Lita Lee. We had her on episode number 36, Dr. Lita Lee, and she's a great person. And thanks, Timothy, for being on the show today.
Well, thank you, Justin, for having me, and hi, Kate.
Hello. Thank you for being on.
So you figured
My pleasure.
You figured out that when you put tropical fish in tap water, they just croak.
Yes, and that got my attention because I was drinking that water.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
So, that was in New England, and we did realize that even if you let chlorine release from the water, there often were other contaminants still left in the water that would actually kill some fish or deplete the health of a lot of others. So if you were trying to breed fish, for example, they were unable to breed healthy offspring because they were so depleted themselves. Back in New England, a lot of the issues were old pipes where you would get metals and lead picked up by the water running through it.
Right.
But another issue was that the municipalities would make changes to how they were treating the water without notifying anybody.
Oh.
So you'd suddenly have something different or a lot more chlorine or something like that that would impact the water and then the fish. And so we quickly understood that in order to keep healthy fish, we needed to learn about water filtration and get filtration that would address the range of contaminants, almost regardless of what they threw at us,
So they're changing what goes into the municipal waters kind of around the country at different times and not telling people?
Well, there are annual water quality reports, and every municipality creates them. You can almost always find them online just by typing in your town and annual water quality report, and then just look for the website from your own municipality. However, there are, for example, many municipalities that move back and forth these days from chlorine to chloramine, which are both disinfectants, but some municipalities bring water from different sources, and one will use chlorine, the other use chloramine. And there are some other reasons, too, why they switch. But changes like this can happen. And, of course, we're not getting regular updates when these changes occur.
Now, chloramine, is that when they mix chlorine with ammonia?
Exactly right. I'm impressed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. The chlorine is a good disinfectant for water, and in truth, its addition decades ago has had many beneficial effects, including essentially wiping out some nasty diseases like typhoid and similar things.
Okay.
So it plays a role, but because the way disinfectants work is they're designed to kill living things, we suggest that it might not be the best thing to ingest them. So good to keep the water clean until it gets to your house, but then you really want to get it out. There have been a lot of studies that show a high correlation between chlorine and cancer and other health issues. And as you said, Justin, the addition of ammonia to the water, ammonia bonds with chlorine. And the reason they do this are two. One is that bond means that the disinfectant stays active for a longer time, so the disinfectant can still be working even to the furthest houses within the distribution district.
Wow.
So that makes sense, but it also means, by definition, chloramine is harder to remove from the water. Chlorine isn't all that tough to remove. You want to do it, but it's a doable thing. We can remove chloramine too, but it takes more filter material and specialized filter material. The other reason that there more and more municipalities around the country are adding ammonia to create chloramines is that it was suggested that they should reduce the byproducts of the disinfection process, which is in truth where the health risk lies. And these are organic materials, things combined with the chlorine, and is actually where the health risks come from. So it was suggested they reduce the number of these, and chloramine does in fact have fewer byproducts. This includes trihalomethanes. And unfortunately, however, there's nothing to indicate that these byproducts are any less dangerous or less risk to our health.
Right.
It's just fewer of them. And in fact, there have been studies that suggest they are more dangerous.
So the average person reading these reports probably doesn't really understand what all of it means, because I know my parents, for example, will read their municipal water report and be like, oh, it's fine, we're drinking it, they treat it. And I think it takes a lot to understand what actually all this means, right, before people proceed with bathing and drinking in it.
Yeah, absolutely right, Kate. It confuses a lot of people because it's not something they're dealing with on a regular basis.
Right.
We're looking at it every day, and so it becomes like second nature. But like anything else, if you look at it once a year, how could you be expected to deeply understand it?
Right.
The good news is that many of the qualities of the water that comes through our tap are good, and many things are tracked and treated if need be to keep them under federal approved levels.
Mm-hmm.
However, there are literally hundreds of contaminants known to be in our water that are not tracked and not treated.
Timothy, I was going to ask you that.
Go ahead.
As far as that goes, how many chemicals, if you were to guess, and you were to add in maybe the homeopathic residues of people maybe even taking chemotherapy, cancer patients, and then urinating in the municipal water, and then that getting recycled, and if you were to add in all of those chemicals and the lead and the aluminum, how many chemicals do you think are in the average tap water? If you were God and you were able to say, I can see every single chemical under a microscope, how many do you think, if just on your best guess, do you think would be in the average American's water faucet?
Many hundreds. And in fact, I don't even have to be God or guess. There are
That's always a good thing.
Periodic. Yeah, that's a good thing, right? There are periodically studies of this. That AP, the news organization, did a study, must have been a couple of years ago now. They looked at a vast range of pharmaceuticals, including anticonvulsants, mood stabilizers, antibiotics, sex hormones, and just in the study they did, which was big but not the entire country, they found all of those things in the drinking water supplies of 41 million Americans.
Oh.
Wow.
So they're there. They are there. And anytime someone goes looking and says, oh, is there MTBE, which is a fuel additive in our water, they come back with, oh, there is. Whatever they go looking for, they find it. So it's so variable, and any individual place at any one point in time can have a different combination of chemicals that are in the water and different levels than they might 6 months later or at a different location.
Yeah.
It's really, we never will know exactly what's in the water at any given time. And so we submit that what you need to do is get water filters that work on all the categories of contaminants that can be in your water. Mm-hmm. And that's not so hard to do. They're chemically based, organic based, taste, odors, sediment, heavy metals. So you can get filter materials that work in all those categories. And most things are not, you need the right filter materials in sufficient quantity, but in truth, they're not that hard to remove. And so back to your question, Kate, about trying to read those reports.
Right.
Pretty much, for example, any whole house or kitchen filter that we sell will work on those categories of contaminants and work on many hundreds, probably thousands of contaminants. But there are two variables that we do need to know whether or not they're in the water for the at that person's house in order to recommend the right filters, and those are, is your water fluoridated, and is the disinfectant used chlorine or chloramine?
Gotcha.
So those are both hard to deal with and require specific attention. So then somebody says fluoride, not chloramine, we can configure the right filter for them.
So Timothy, with some of these chemicals and things, is there a way of knowing? I'm sure there's lots of studies to prove this. I mean, it's one thing to know that you're being exposed to these types of chemicals, but some people might be listening and think, oh, well, that's not a big deal, or there's no real studies to prove that these chemicals cause disease or cause health issues. And I haven't looked at those myself. I just know that I want to be exposed to as little chemicals as possible. Are there studies to show, I'm sure there are, that these things correlate to disease?
Well, you've nailed it exactly. There are some, but nothing conclusive. There were, around the time of that AP study I mentioned, there were several recent research explorations that did indicate that small amounts of medication do affect embryonic kidney cells, human blood cells, breast cancer cells. The cancer cells proliferated too quickly, for example. Kidney cells grow too slowly. Blood cells showed biological activity suggestive of inflammation. So there is not sufficient study to speak definitively of exactly what's happening. And while I'm sure there'll be more studies and we can get a clearer view of it, because it's always changing in the water, and to a large extent, we don't know how these things combine with one another, right? So how are you ever going to nail it down and say, this is it, this is the result, and this is the impact on you? I can't see how that'll ever happen, although certainly as more and more research is done, it'll become more and more obvious that there's a health risk involved. Impacts can include allergies being stimulated, nerve damage, people who are already sick, or pregnant women, will be at more risk than others. And it's worth mentioning that pharmaceuticals, by definition, they are intended to work and have very specific effects at low concentrations.
Right.
So if you get a number of people or different sources where the pharmaceuticals end up in the water, it's going to be quite a low concentration, likely, but, well, that's how pharmaceuticals work. So how much do you need to have an impact on you that's, in other words, you're taking medicine that you don't need? So
yeah.
Right.
And what do you make
what's that going to do to you?
What do you make of this? There's been a lot of talk recently, and when Kate and I were in Australia a few years back, they were talking about using the, I think it was the, what do you call that? The recycling of the municipal water and putting that back into people's drinking water. That's going on too,
yeah,
right?
Australia actually does it some. It's a sort of unpleasant thought, isn't it?
A little bit.
A little scary.
Nonetheless, I actually don't think there's all that much risk to it if the water is properly purified, which I'm sure it is. If you're going to take that water and put it back into use, there's so much public attention and concern about it that I don't know that haven't studied it in detail, but beyond knowing that Australia does this. But there was a lot of public attention and discussion, but they have such drought problems that they've begun to do it.
Right.
I think it certainly is achievable. In truth, all the water that we use is recycled. It's just recycled on a larger level by Mother Earth, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
There's only, it's all filtered. It runs through the earth and runs over metals and picks up trace elements and so on. And it's worth mentioning probably that the type of filters that we sell work in a similar way. Water runs over and through filter materials. Obviously, it's more concentrated, but the way that they filter is the same as Mother Earth, leaving trace elements that the body needs while targeting contaminants we know need to be removed.
Wow.
So can you touch a little bit on how your filtration system works versus, obviously a whole system is going to be different than a water filter, but like people like me, I don't know a whole lot about what's the difference between your products versus like a Brita water filter. A bunch of people just have those cheaper things in their house. What is the difference?
Well, there are many.
I'm sure.
Brita, for example, my biggest suggestion is always that people simply read the information provided by Brita, who is honest about what their filters will and won't do. I believe they have more than one type of filter, but my impression is that the basic Brita filters primarily target taste and odor, making your water more palatable. I think they also have some that are designed to be more serious filter to actually remove contaminants. But they put on their box the main issues, and you can go to their website to see listings of what their filters do. So as people's awareness grows, I suggest that they look at that site and see what they list, and you'll see that we all who sell water filters need to be a little careful. We can't claim 100% removal of anything because water chemistry is so variable that, it's just, it'll vary in different situations and flow rates and so on. But one of the big differences is the amount of filter material. So we have, probably a couple hundred variants, but for a kitchen, for example, the basic kitchen filter is a canister about a foot tall, and it has in it a sediment filters that take out particulate matter, something called KDF, which is a combination of copper and zinc that is really good at heavy metals and chemically based contaminants. And again, back to talking about the pharmaceuticals, and by the way, illegal drugs too, they all fall into one of two categories. They're either chemically based or organic based.
Right.
So KDF works on the chemically based ones and heavy metals, and it's also copper is a bactericide, so it kills bacteria. Copper and zinc together form it's called bacteriostatic, meaning bacteria cannot breed in the water or the filter material. And then that's followed by granulated coconut carbon. And carbon is especially known for filtering organic-based contaminants and for leaving a good taste in the water. So this is an example of what I was saying earlier, that if you can get filters that have the right filter materials to work on the broad categories of contaminants, sort of regardless of how the water might change over time, you'll still be protected against those things. And they work like Mother Earth, as I was saying, in that the water is filtered by going over and through the filter materials. There are actually several different ways it's being filtered, including that the sediment filter is like a sieve, The KDF primarily uses ionic exchange, which means that harmful chemicals are rendered inert, so they're put into an inert form. And carbon works primarily by absorption, so you get a lot of different things happening as the water runs through.
Wow.
Then if you have fluoride and if you have chloramine, for each of those you add an additional canister, similarly about a foot tall,
Right.
that has the right filter materials to target that particular contaminant, and those two are harder to remove, so you need one canister for each of them if you have both.
Wow. Timothy, we got to take a short break here. We're running up against the clock. I want to get this break out of the way so we can have a longer segment here. But if you're interested in this kind of thing and you have, just running regular water in your house, you definitely may want to look into Timothy Hickey's water, friendsofwater.com. And if you go through us and put the code Extreme Health, you'll get a discount there. And all of his water filters are already discounted, and you'll get an extra little bit if you go through us and put Extreme Health in the checkout thing, and you'll get an extra little percentage off. And that'll be a way to support our work too. And we're so excited to be with Timothy Hickey here from friendsofwater.com, and excited to finally find a company that we believe in. And
gosh, we've been looking for so long.
Yeah, it's great. And so we'll be right back with Timothy Hickey after this break. So rebounding is, in my mind, one of the best ways to detoxify your lymphatic system, and it's the only exercise on earth that will actually detoxify your lymphatic system. And your lymph system is responsible for storing toxins and chemicals and poisons that you're exposed to, and there's no pump for the lymph system. It doesn't have a heart, so you have to move it up and down, and it's filled with millions of one-way valves that get squeezed and pushed and opened and closed every time you jump. And we feel like we found the best rebounder on the market today. It's the Rolls Royce of rebounding. It's called the Bellicon, and I highly, highly stand behind this product. It's absolutely amazing. If you want to hear what some of our guests said about it, check them out on our store. You can listen to what a lot of our guests have said about rebounding, and the Bellicon in particular. So a lot of times people will go on the rebounder with oxygen for cancer if they're really sick, and it's one of the most powerful things you can do to cleanse your body and to exercise every single cell in your body, every organ in your body. It's the only internal organ exercise you could do, and it's absolutely incredible. It also helps to rebuild bone density because of the up and down motion, the G-force that gets applied to every cell of your body, and it tightens and tones your body, and it's just really, really great aerobic exercise. And the Bellicon is made with straps, these bungee cords instead of springs, so it's silent, and they have a warranty on it. It's the best rebounder on the market today. So if you're in the market for one, I would highly recommend just saving up and getting the Bellicon, because there's no other rebounder on the market that's better than this thing. I firmly believe that. So if you're interested in it, check it out, extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon. That's B as in boy, ELLICON. And you can learn more about it and watch the videos on that page too. So thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy your rebounder, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Kate's coming back into the studio doing a little dance, a little jig. I just got off the rebounder, and we're rocking and rolling here. Now we're having a good time here talking with Timothy Hickey from friendsofwater.com, and it's really a lot of fun to learn about the water that we're ingesting and just how important all that is. And recently I watched a video called The Great Culling, which was, I think they do a series, and it's a really great documentary, and they do a series on water and the air, I think the chemtrails, and then they do a whole thing on water. And so, yeah, it's if you're interested in that video, I'll put a link on our show page here to The Great Culling. And Timothy, before the break, we were talking about some of the particulars of your water filtration, and I was led to believe for many years that reverse osmosis was the best way to filter water. Many people talk about how great reverse osmosis is, but I think you kind of take a different position on that, don't you?
We do. Reverse osmosis was available before the type of filters that we have really were available, and so there was a time at which it was the best choice, but in my view that actually has not been true for decades at this point. Reverse osmosis is a pretty effective way to separate a lot of contaminants from the water that you want to use. The way it works is water is forced through membranes, and the water on the other side is the water you use. The water that doesn't come through, which, by the way, now has a higher concentration of the contaminants, that water is actually not used. It's wasted and sent back into the environment. So this is one of the reasons we don't like it. One of the net results is that you're sending water back into the environment now with a higher level of contaminants in it.
Oh, wow.
So while it's taken them out of your drinking water, for example, it didn't take them out of the environment. So just being an environmentalist and looking at things in the long term, that seems like a bad idea to us. Plus, it's wasting the water. Water is pretty scarce, and using it in that way to send it back out into the environment doesn't seem a good idea to us. Another issue is that reverse osmosis works by separating things by the size of the molecules. So large molecules and ions are removed from the water. Small ones get through. Unfortunately, that's not how contaminants sort themselves out. It doesn't work that way. So the trace elements that the body needs actually are larger molecules. So it takes out the trace elements that the body needs and will let through contaminants that have a finer molecule size, for example, synthetic fertilizers and that kind of thing. There's more and more folks who sell reverse osmosis filters combine them with other types of filtration to try to build around, and we'll combine, for example, with a carbon filter so that the taste is particularly good and might work on some things that the reverse osmosis filter didn't.
Right,
but in our view, what you're
So the reverse osmosis actually will leave some bad things in the water, but then take away good things as well, because it's all based on the size of the particles.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, if contaminants sorted themselves out in the same way, it would be a better solution. It is worth mentioning we can sell anything we want, and we could sell reverse osmosis filters. We don't do it because we just don't think it's sensible. The amount of water wasted will vary based on the units, but it can be up to 70% or something. Right. It's a lot. Also, reverse osmosis stores water in a tank that you then draw from. Now, it could be that tank is big enough that you never run out, but if you have unexpected high use, you can get ahead of your supply where the water starts slowing down, which is not something that happens with what I call this classic filtration type of thing that we use.
And plus, reverse osmosis can be very expensive too, right?
They can be. I don't think all are, but part of that thing about adding different types of filters to it to address the shortcomings of the reverse osmosis itself means you're building a more expensive and more complex filter. So I have yet to figure out what the real advantage is, honestly. You're stripping water of trace elements you need, then you got to try to add them back. Right. You can achieve the same thing more simply and without the disadvantages. Now, there are people who disagree, and there is also a lot of misinformation on the internet where people just have seen statements like to remove fluoride, you have to have reverse osmosis, which is simply not true. It's just simply not true.
Well, if everyone keeps if everyone keeps saying it, then it must be true, right?
Exactly right. I like to say, pick a topic you know a lot about and do a web search and just read what they have to say and see how much of it is accurate. You know? The amount of misinformation out there.
Right.
Some things just get repeated over and over. And there are, you can pretty much take out the contaminants you want to, have the water you need, not have wastewater, not be sending contaminants back into the water, the environment. Actually, they are chemically changed so that they're no longer a contaminant by running through the filters that we have. So, yeah, we don't recommend reverse osmosis.
Okay.
In your opinion, I'm just so curious. I've always wanted to ask somebody this question that knew a lot about water, but what are the ill effects of like taking long baths in this stuff? Because I am aware of a lot of the internal problems this stuff could be causing, but what external factors could that be causing on skin and hair and stuff that you guys have seen?
For bathing and showering too, but the biggest issues are the disinfectants, chlorine or chloramine. The effects are different. Chlorine, the EPA has actually said that there is almost all American bathrooms have an excess amount of chloroform in them. So chlorine releases, both chlorine and chloramine release into the air as a fume, and then you can breathe it in addition to the skin taking it in. So there are studies that suggest chlorine could cause cancer. One is a 2006 study in Spain that said long-term trihalomethane, you'll remember that's the primary byproduct of disinfection from long-term trihalomethane exposure was associated with a twofold bladder cancer risk.
Oh my God!
In households with high levels. They also found that these invade the body, as I mentioned, through inhalation and dermal absorption, but also through ingestion.
I would imagine that your skin would soak up a lot of these chemicals because the skin being the largest organ of the body. I would imagine that your skin would absorb a lot of this stuff.
Exactly right, especially for small molecule contaminants like the chlorine and chloramine. The body, I like to use the analogy of imagine sitting in a tub of ink versus sitting in a tub of rocks. Not everything is going to be absorbed equally, but chlorine and chloramine will be absorbed and inhaled.
What about fluoride?
Fluoride, although itself is not a metal, it travels in our water supply as part of a metallic compound. Fluoride is extraordinarily reactive, and it always combines with something else in nature, so it combines with metals in our water supply and comes through as part of a metallic compound and therefore is large molecule and not readily absorbed. And similar to other things we've talked about, there have not been extensive studies about this, but having for 7 years sat in this chair and talked to thousands of people around the country, I have no doubt that the primary risk of fluoride is ingestion. Anecdotally, I've got lots of stories,
Yeah, that would make sense because if it's a larger molecule size, your skin would not absorb that. And so if you're drinking the water straight out of your tap, then, that makes sense that you would be more exposed to fluoride than... and fluoride itself, a lot of people are talking about in that great Culling film. I don't know if you've seen that, but I'm sure you have. That. They talk about the fluoride in that film, and it's kind of a little scary about what's going on with fluoride these days. It
is, and particularly scary to me is some municipalities are beginning to add it to their water when they haven't in the past. It's also true that other municipalities are taking it out, stopping the addition of it. But Dr. David Kennedy on your show a few months ago said that fluoride is the level of toxicity is at a level between that of arsenic and lead. Well, that's pretty darn toxic. And we're putting it in our water. It just doesn't make any sense.
No.
Also, there have been studies that say 2 out of 5 adolescents in the U.S. have tooth streaking or spottiness because of excessive fluoride.
Wow.
Well, they're saying we're putting it in because it's good for the teeth. 40% of our youth are having their teeth damaged by it. I mean, it just doesn't hold up. Also, Dr. Kennedy mentioned that silicate fluoride added in the water supply, and this has the net effect of increasing lead absorption in the body. So not only the fluoride, but it's also helping you to get more lead, which you don't want.
And if you wanted to go down if you wanted to go down the conspiracy path, you could make up a lot of different stories as to why they're putting this stuff in. But I mean, that's another show. But there's a lot of people talking about that too.
Yeah, there's lots of opinions. Here's my theory: it's about making money. They're a byproduct. The fluoride is a byproduct of manufacturing industrial processes, and if they can have sell massive quantities of it to municipalities to put it into the water, it's a lot better than they're having to throw it away.
Wow.
Right. We got to take a short break again. This time is flying by. And when you're having fun, time flies. It's the way it works.
Having fun, drinking water.
That's right. We're with Timothy Hickey, and his website is friendsofwater.com. And like I mentioned before, if you would like a little discount on top of the already discounted prices that he's got, just enter in the code Extreme Health when you check out, and if you're interested in this kind of thing. And just do your research and look around and look at different things and look at his website and make a determination for yourself if you think these are good for you. But we think they are, and we're honored to have Timothy Hickey on, and we'll be right back after this short break. If you're like me, chances are you've tried lots of different whey protein powders and different protein powders on the market. The two I like are Sun Warrior Protein and One World Whey. One is vegan and one is not, but One World Whey, I love it. It's 100% raw and grass-fed, coming from Amish farmers with healthy cows. It's an incredible product. It's got about 25 grams of protein with each scoop, which is really, really high. It increases the glutathione levels in your body. It helps to eliminate heavy metals and toxins out of your body, as well as radioactive fallout from chemtrails. And it helps to decrease inflammation in the intestines, which helps with having healthy bowel movements. It builds lean muscle, and it's great for your skin and anti-aging. It increases your energy levels. It's really, really a great product. And it's not just for building muscle. It has so many benefits. And you can learn more about all the benefits of this incredible product at extremehealthradio.com/whey. WHEY, and it's put together by Synergistic Nutrition, and One World Whey is the product name. I highly recommend checking it out. If you are interested in buying it, please consider doing it through us. We'll get a little commission, and you will see what I'm talking about. You're going to be hooked and addicted to this stuff. So consider this product as part of your daily protocol. Maybe put it in your smoothies, and it's really, really a great product. So thanks for listening, and let's get back to this interview. Kate comes waltzing back into the studio with some apricot kernels.
That's right. Mention on some apricot kernels. Because I'm scared to drink the water now.
Good for cancer, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. Combat what you can, right?
So you were saying something during the break? What were you saying?
Oh, yeah, that I'm 99.9% sure right now from all those baths I've had, my kids are going to have like 8 heads or 12 legs.
12 legs, 3 eyes.
I got to get a water system bad.
So Timothy Hickey is with us from friendsofwater.com, and It's an honor to be connected up with his business, Friends of Water. And Timothy, I want to use this segment to kind of just go over some of the different products you have. It looks like you have, I was looking on your website last night, over 220 or 250 products or something. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, in that area, that's right. There are also other configurations and filters that we can put together that aren't on the website for specific needs. For example, people on well water really need to just get their water tested and send us the results, and we can put together what we'd recommend for them. If you're on a municipal system, however, you need to decide if you want a whole house filter or kitchen filter and shower and bath and so on. Mm-hmm. But the two big questions to get answered first are, is there fluoride in my water, and is there chlorine or chloramine? Any one of our kitchen filters or whole house filters will work on the other categories of contaminants, but with those two bits of information. Now, if you can't find it, we can help you find it.
If someone has chloramine and they get a filter for that, will that filter also get rid of the chlorine, but not the other way around?
Yes. Completely true on whole house filters and kitchen filters. They will do both and do it very, very effectively. A shower filter, less so. It's a small amount of filter material, and so you really want to get one that targets the right, what's in your water. Okay. A chloramine filter will reduce chlorine, but it won't eliminate it the way that a chlorine shower or bath filter will.
Okay, so people should contact their municipal water company and find out exactly what they're putting in their water and then go from there?
Yeah, you can either call the phone number on your water bill and just ask them those two questions. What's the disinfectant, chlorine or chloramine, and is the water fluoridated? Or do a web search, My Town, Annual Water Quality Report. It's this simple. If they list chloramine, it's in your water. If they don't list it, it's not. Huh. Similarly with fluoride. If it's not there, they don't list it.
Okay.
So, and if people have trouble, they can give us a call, and we can get the answers for them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now you have
for their area.
You have filters for the shower, for the bath, and as well as for above or underneath the kitchen sink. And then if someone wants to do a whole house filter system, they could do that as well. So you have kind of a lot of solutions for people.
Oh, we sure do. Plus filters for the garden, for travel, pretty much any circumstance. The cabin in the woods, international travel, almost anything. There's also water softener alternatives so that you can get rid of the problems caused by hard water without introducing the heavy salt in your water. There are versions of what I call a small whole house alternative that is especially good in some apartments or condos where a big, 4-foot tank to 3-foot tank might not be good for you. So a whole house filter will then treat all the water in your house. Or you can do what we call point of use filters. So put together a shower, a bath, and a kitchen filter, or a fridge filter too.
Oh, wow. And so we're looking at your products too for the shower and for the bath. And I mean, these things, I'm always thinking in my head that, water filtration systems, especially if you go full house or full filter like that, goes in the thousands. And so I was thinking, okay, this is going to be at least a few $100s for, a shower filter or a bath filter. But these things are less than $100, about 50, 60, 70 bucks.
Yeah, it's exactly $55 to $70 for each shower or bath filter. One of the reasons for this is that our manufacturing partner on these products has a patented process whereby filter material is powderized and then shaped into blocks. And the net effect is that a big increase in the amount of contact time between the water and the filter material, because the filter material is very porous, if you will. There's lots of tracks, and that is how filtration happens, is the amount of contact time between the water and the filter. So the same amount of filter material in a shower or bath filter, for example, will actually do a lot more than the same material would if it hadn't been treated in that way.
Oh.
And therefore the cost comes down for higher effectiveness. And that's used in whole house filters, kitchen filters, shower bath filters. You mentioned the whole house filters, Justin. There's been a huge breakthrough in the last maybe 2 years or so that has made what used to cost maybe $2,500 is now available for $900 in terms of effectiveness. They don't last quite as long, but for example, a 2-media, let's say a 1-tank chlorine filter that also takes out hundreds of other contaminants, we sell for $899. It'll work for your whole house for 300,000 gallons.
Oh my God!
So that might be, depends on your household, of course, but that could easily be 3 years or more.
So if you got
you then just replace the media.
If you got a family like the Duggars, then that might be a couple months.
I was thinking this. If you have 21 kids, you got a different
might have some
set of problems.
It might only last a year, then.
Yeah.
I mean, our customers, from our discussions with them, it seems that less than 100,000 gallons a year is typical. I've read studies that say the average American household uses 140,000 gallons a year.
Okay.
I think probably our customers are a little more conscious of such things than the average person. But even if you were a typical household, you're looking at over 2 years before the media was changed.
If someone wanted to get a basic kind of filter for their kitchen, where would they start? And I know they'd call you and you could work with them, but if they wanted, what would be the kind of general price range that someone might pay for that?
Generally, between $269 and $409.
Okay, that's not bad.
There are versions that are less, and there are versions that are more. It does depend on what's in your water and what we need to configure to be effective for your filter. But, as you've heard, we're not a one-size-fits-all shop. If for example, your water is not fluoridated, don't waste money buying filter material to take fluoride out.
Right.
So a 1 canister filter, if you didn't have either fluoride or chloramines, starts at about $145.
Okay.
And you would change the filter once a year, and it costs $49.95 to change the filter. So
that's not bad.
It's pretty cost effective, I think, and especially in the last few years, it's really, you get a lot more distance for your dollar. And
so you could take these, you could travel. Can you travel with some of these? I know some people like to take these things, and if they go to a hotel or something, can you, if you do a shower in a hotel, do you have filters that people can take with them on the go, kind of thing?
Yes, a number of people have bought them for that. The shower filters work by screwing it on to, you unscrew the shower head that's there and screw the filter on, and then you attach the shower head to the filter. So it's easily accomplished in 3 minutes or so.
Wow.
And we have filtering canteens, water bottles.
I saw that you have some double glass water bottles. That's crazy.
Yeah. We only add products to our line when we really like them, think they're well made, or at a good value. We'll do what they say they'll do. And so the truth is we don't add that many new products all the time, but it's happening more and more that awareness of the issues around water is growing, and so we're starting to find, maybe in the last year or two, more product lines that we are adding. So there are more choices for things like filtering water bottles. You can get glass, stainless, kids' bottles, different sizes, sippy cups. Not all of these are filtered. There are, BPA-free, non-filtering things like this. So you can put food in some things. You can put the clean water from your kitchen filter in when the kids go out, things like that.
I just love that people are becoming more aware, and we're all starting to care a little bit more about what we're doing, especially on
isn't that good?
Right.
On a daily basis, we're all, water is the biggest
and
thing we're all dealing with. Really.
Yeah, and water filters are a great way to stay healthy because, a lot of times people think, how do I get healthy? But a lot of times it's really just about reducing your exposures to chemicals. And I like things that you can add to your life that aren't necessarily disciplines that you actually have to do. So, a lot of people go to the gym or work out, or they do these things, they eat right, a certain diet. But with something like this, or like an air filter or something, these are just things that you use anyway.
You're already doing, right?
Yeah, I like that.
Well, you're exactly right. And we all know that drinking a lot of water is good for our health. And next time we get together, I can tell you some stories about how my own health was so dramatically impacted by an increase in drinking water. But if your water has things that are correlated with cancer risk and thyroid problems, like thyroid is absolutely affected negatively by fluoride, kidney, bones, even lower IQ. The more you drink, the more you're exposing yourself to these things too. So you really need to get them out so that the water you're getting all the benefits without the disadvantages of the things that are added in there.
Right, you're absolutely right. I was curious, we were looking on their website a little while ago too about your rainwater containers.
Oh.
Those are cool.
They are. They really are. And once again, pretty inexpensive. You can collect it in your house and use it for watering your garden, for example. So we've talked about filtering, and in fact, the marketplace has let us know that filtering is the thing that most people have, the largest amount of interest in. But we have other products to save water and celebrate water, and that's a good example of it. Little sprinklers that put water just where you want it, collapsible greenhouses to hold moisture inside.
Yeah, we saw
we
that.
were looking at those.
Rain collectors.
Oh, those are so cool.
Yeah. So you have so many different types of products, and so the greenhouses, are those things easily, you can set those things up pretty quickly?
And take them down quickly?
Absolutely. Taking it down is a little trickier than putting it up, but you're talking about an extra 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
They pop up. They're sort of built-in springs, so you might help it along a little bit, but it comes in a folded-up package. It's heavy, and you unzip it, take it out of the package, and it starts to open itself up, and you just help it along, and it sets itself up, and then you peg it down in the corners.
So like a camping tent, basically.
A greenhouse.
Wow.
Huh?
Very much like one of those pop-up camping tents.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that is so cool.
That's great. And so now these filters, are they transferable if people want to, if they move to a different house, can you easily remove them and add them to the new place?
That's a great question. The answer is yes. If it's cut into the plumbing, as is the case for a whole house filter or an under-counter filter, then it's more involved. But frankly, it's not that big a deal. In terms of moving or buying a new house, it's pretty inconsequential.
Yeah.
Installing an under-the-counter filter, for example, takes a plumber about a half hour.
Okay.
And it'll probably take 10 minutes to undo it. A whole house filter, we have many types, and it can vary, but it could be 2 to 6 hours, I suppose, depending upon how big and complex a system you got.
Sure.
But when you're taking it out, when it's installed, there's a bypass built in, so you just turn the water off that would feed the water to the filters and send it through the main pipe, and then you disconnect and take your filter with you.
This will. Oh, good. Do you want to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, so any of these products work for anyone's situation, pretty much. There's not a situation where someone's bath or shower wouldn't fit these products.
Bath and shower are standard.
Okay.
That's right. Most houses have 3/4-inch piping. So for a whole house filter, if you had a house with larger pipes, if you were in a house that had a 3/4-inch pipe and you moved to one that had an 1.25-inch pipe, it wouldn't work.
Gotcha.
You'd need to change it. But
Okay.
honestly, that's pretty rare. The
I
great
bet.
majority have 1/2 or 3/4-inch, and those are interchangeable.
Pretty standard, yeah.
You know, something I was thinking about the other day is people should be concerned with, even if they eat organic food. I mean, a lot of these organic food places are probably watering their water with municipal water sources, and like we were just talking about during the show, could be filled with hundreds of different chemicals. And you know, so if people have a home garden, it might be something to consider too, to filter that water before they feed it to their plants, right?
That's right. I remember the day I figured that out. I was growing vegetables in an organic garden, and I looked at the water. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm watering with chlorine.
This is a bad day.
Oh, no. I know.
And of course, it kills the beneficial bacteria in the soil, because that's what, chlorine's designed to do, is kill bacteria. So,
Wow. Yeah, there's just a lot of different factors to consider with water and how you use it, because, I mean, it's used as a basis for our food, our recipes, our drinks, and
our bodies. I mean, we're what, 90% water or something crazy?
Supposed to be.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing. So if people are interested in this and they want to find out more and they're just wanting to ask you some questions unique to their own situations, they can always call you. And we didn't talk about this, but your wife is a homeopath.
that's right. She's a lay homeopath. She has an advanced certificate from the New England School of Homeopathy.
Nice.
She's not working as a homeopath these days, but she takes good care of our cat, I'll tell you that.
Oh, I love it.
And so people can call you guys and you can sort of steer them in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. During the work week, we cover the phones for some hours every day. We don't always sit by the phone, but just leave a message, and if we don't get to you at the latest, we're back to you by the next morning.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if you've gone, years and years without a water filtration and you have to wait it one more day, that's what harm is that going to cause, right?
As long as you're not drinking the water that next day.
That's right. Stop drinking. The other thing is go to friendsofwater.com. You'll see there are actually two sites. One is the main informational site that explores issues, digs deeper on chlorine, chloramine, fluoride, etc. And also there's a lot of stories, just kind of fun, most relating to water in one way or another, but including, some healing that I went through by primarily using water.
Oh.
But
Wow.
there's a lot of information there, and then you can, if you wish, click through to the store where the products are organized in a way that you can, quickly sort through.
Yeah, that's great. I think,
So great.
yeah, it's really great what you're doing. And, I think I'm really excited to be connected up with you guys, because it's nice to have a company you believe in and, a company that wants to help people. And that's what we're all about. So it's great to be connected up with you.
We agree. We appreciate the opportunity.
Wow.
Excellent. So as we're closing out the show, we got to kind of close things down here, but what kinds of things are you working on? Are you developing new products? Are you working with other companies, or what kinds of things are you working on?
Well, one of my active projects at the moment is trying to find a water test lab or two to do some additional supplemental testing for Friends of Water. In fact, maybe somebody's listening. They should give me a call.
Right.
We get a lot of certifications from our manufacturing partners, but the testing and the way they report the information is often not very consumer friendly. So, for example, the maximum allowed fluoride in drinking water is 4 parts per million, and almost all municipalities who add it use 1 part per million or even less. And I recently got tests from one of our manufacturing partners, and they tested it for 17 parts per million.
Wow.
Well, thanks, but what's that going to tell my customer,
Yeah.
Serious.
It gives you clues, but so I'm trying to get some labs to I'll send them a filter, pay them to test it for sort of typical municipal water condition. Fluoride, chloramine, a few other things, and just share the information. I mean, it's not a certificate or it's not a EPA approved. It's just a realistic third-party independent test. I know, by the way, all these things already work. All the filter material that's in these has been approved by the EPA. We're only using things that work. But I'd like to have test results that are easier for our customers to understand.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that's where the gold is for customers from their point of view, is they want to see tests and understand, what exactly is being filtered. So that's awesome. That's great. So that's something you're going to be working on here on out in the future.
Yeah, I am working on it now. I've been interacting with a couple of labs. One of them yesterday bowed out, said they didn't think they could do what we needed. But so we're on a search for a couple of labs to work with us on something like that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's excellent. Thank you so much, Timothy, for being on the show and for doing the work you do. God knows we need it.
Yeah.
Thank you. You too, and really appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks so much. And Timothy, would you mind holding the line for just a second?
Certainly.
All right. So what do you think of Timothy Hickey, friendsofwater.com?
I got quite the education.
Yeah, pretty amazing, huh?
Man, it's like all this stuff. You've heard of fluoride in your water and chlorine and
all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
And really, when you're in that shower, it's like breathing chloroform gas. I mean, it kind of reminds me of being like in a gas chamber or something. You know what I mean?
I sadly did have that thought, though. I thought, chloroform, man, you hear that. And it's sad because I love nothing more than a hot, warm shower, a long shower. But man, you're sitting there steaming your
especially like we do. We go in the sauna first, and if we go in there and you're hot and your pores are open,
right?
That's
you're just taking more of it in.
You know what? Also, too, you told me a while back about the
shower liner, curtain thing. I was going to say,
and many of those. I was going to bring it up on the air, but really, that wouldn't have. I mean, he's not really in that business or really into that, but
I thought of all those together are the perfect storm for deterioration.
They contain some kind of BPA phthalates or something, right?
Yeah.
Some plastic chemicals.
Yep. Not going to be breathing in.
Wow.
Golly, you realize how much of a fight this is to help yourself. You're so responsible.
In today's world, though, it's awesome because, yes, there's a lot to, quote, fight against, which is, I don't like to fight against things, but
no, you're right.
But there's a lot to combat, but there's also lots of solutions too,
right?
Which is cool.
And that I'm grateful. I think more than ever at any other time before, we have these new options and things available to us and information. And I'm so grateful for people like him and the work he's doing. Because we've talked about forever getting a filter for our system. Because every time I take a bath, I've cut my baths shorter just because I am not a big fan of. I would actually love to talk to him about like the pools and jacuzzis. And
we didn't ask him.
We should have him back on because I was also very interested in what he is talking about. He said a story for a later time about his own health and his journey with the water. And I would love to have him back on if he's interested. And
yeah, because he's got filters for your jacuzzis and pools. And
well, see, now that just makes me happy because probably only once a month now I sit in a jacuzzi, and that's even limited because of how aware I am of what we're just soaking in. Like, golly, as a kid, you're never, splashing around in pools, getting that stuff up your nose, swallowing stuff, and you're like, oh my gosh.
And those chlorine pools are so concentrated too.
Oh, I know, and it's seeping.
You know what you need like a water, basically like a huge Ziploc bag that you get in, and then you sit in the jacuzzi in like a health spa. So you're inside a bag.
Because that wouldn't be weird.
That wouldn't be strange.
Everyone else in the jacuzzi wouldn't be uncomfortable or anything.
No, they wouldn't think that's odd.
It's like a jacuzzi suit.
Yeah, you couldn't hear them talk, but because you got too much going on inside the bag.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow.
Wow. Yeah. So if you're interested in these water filters, we're going to be getting some ourselves, and put in the code Extreme Health. I think, and you'll get an extra little discount for his water filters. And we're excited about being connected up with him. And
he is so cool.
Yeah, it's really good. And, like I was saying on the show, it's so easy. All you got to do is buy one of these, and all of a sudden you're reducing your chemical load by some, incredible percentage, Right. Cool stuff.
Makes you sleep better at night.
Yeah. Until you go to your chemical-laden bed with formaldehyde on it.
And your ungrounded sheets. Oh, we got problems.
Oh man, with your chemical air that you breathe.
At least we're laughing.
Oh well, what are you going to do, right?
What are you going to do? You're going to do one thing at a time, and that's what we're doing. And it just feels good knowing you're aware and knocking one thing out when you can. So.
Yeah, and they're huge too. I mean, you do one small thing at a time, and like you said, it just kind of spirals and easy to do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's time to close out the show. I want to thank Mike Adams of naturalnewsradio.com for having us on his network. I appreciate that. And what else? If you want to join our mailing list, we've got lots of subscribers on there. And I send out an email about once a week, just general health related stuff and lots of great content and show related stuff and reminders and things. So feel free to go to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and sign up for that. And if you would like to donate, that would be amazing. We could really use your donations. And I know we ask for this all the time, but we really could use your donations to help pay for our show. And there's a lot of costs now that are starting to add up associated with the monthly costs of all this. And
that would be huge. Any amount.
Any amount. And so that would be great. And if you want to check out our store, we're rebuilding that now, but there's tons of great products on the store, like this one, the water filters, and giving the code Extreme Health, and you can call up and talk to Timothy on your own and get a discount there. But we've got the blenders and rebounders and saunas and all kinds of great things on our store, so don't forget to check that out.
And anything we don't have, you can go to Amazon.
That's right.
extremehealthradio.com/Amazon and order what else you need. Like, we don't sell lawnmowers, but Amazon does.
Yeah, that's right. You want to buy a lawnmower? You're good to go.
A popsicle mold, anything you may need, and we get a small commission for that, which also keeps our show going and free for everybody. So if you find value at all in any of these shows, we'd really appreciate your support.
Yeah, definitely. And if you could, we would greatly appreciate if you could send this link to your friends and to your family, or follow us on Facebook, or click like on this show page, which is extremehealthradio.com/91 or 92, and send it to your friends on Facebook and things. We're really relying on people like you guys to support this show and spread the word, and we would be really appreciative of that. And enough of that. Enough of asking people to do things for us.
Right. I hate that part.
I know. I'm so not a salesman, but...
And by the way, I really don't know if Amazon does sell lawnmowers now that I think about it.
I'll put a link to my favorite lawnmower.
Okay. Just to warn people, I haven't looked it up.
So thank you everyone so much for joining us, and we really appreciate it, and we love you all. And if there's anything we can do to help, just email us, Justin@extremehealthradio.com or Kate@extremehealthradio.com, or you can go to extremehealthradio.com/voicemail and to send a message to us, record it right on your computer, and